Hello, everybody. Welcome to Seriously But Hurt Sports. The Divisional series has ended. Another Yankee great has passed, and we'll also break down the championship series for you on today's episode. And hello, I'm Ralph Lindsay, and I'm joined by Nick Litch. How we doing, Nick?
I could say good, but that's not the truth. Not doing well this morning.
It's a
How
rough
are you?
one. It's a rough one for Yankee fans all across the nation. First, we're going to touch on the passing of another Yankee great, Whitey Ford. Great career, Cy Young, Hall of Fame, 6 World Series, 10-time All-Star, one of the greats, another passing. And that just was not the great start to a day yesterday. That didn't end well either.
Nope. I think they had one job, was to win one for the chairman of the board, and they just couldn't get it done. But we'll go into that. So let's break down the division series and for both the NL and AL and see what happened and give our takes.
So, well, we'll start with the two series in the NL. LA versus San Diego, Atlanta versus Miami. They both went pretty much as expected.
Yep.
Not too shocking. LA.
We thought Atlanta was going to give a little fit, though. I'm sorry,
Miami.
the Marlins, yeah.
Yeah. Miami looked like they're going to give a little bit of a fit, but I can't say I'm surprised that the Braves just overpowered them and swept them. And LA, we knew they were going to go in and just dominate like they have all postseason. So
Yeah, I'm not surprised there.
On the NL side, not too much of a surprise. And we had Oakland versus Houston. Houston winning it in 3-1. I'm really despising Houston. Now, look, Oakland, we said last, wasn't not like Oakland was this far above better team.
No, but the Astros came in under 500.
Yes.
Not that means anything in baseball, because we all know baseball is a game of momentum, right?
Yes.
So I can't say I'm not surprised, but I am surprised. They're probably cheating again.
Well, it's funny you bring that up, because I do want to touch on a point, and this is something that I guess many might say, you could say, is only a point I'm bringing up because there's proof that they've cheated in the past.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at their top bats in Altuve, Bregman, Springer, Correa, you look at their regular season stats. Correa, I believe, was the only one that hit around 280, 290. Altuve was around the low 200s. Bregman, I think, was low 200s, mid 200s. You come to the postseason, and all of a sudden, Altuve, 400. Bregman, 400. Correa, 500. Springer, 389. Brantley, 368. I'm sorry, a whole team doesn't all of a sudden go from batting low to mid 200s to batting 3, 4, 500.
I mean, do you have your tinfoil hat ready?
Sure.
I feel like you need to be putting your tinfoil hat on to where you're going with this.
I don't know how they'd be doing it, if they're going back to a buzzer method, or if they are.
Really think they'd be that brazen? Because
what punishment did they get the first time?
That's true.
What punishment did they get the first time? Like, come on, this is basic human development. If you have a kid that acts out, but you don't punish him, he's gonna keep doing it. He doesn't care. So you're at the major league level. You got caught in a cheating scandal, but yet the players didn't get a thing.
Yep.
And plus, now that there's no fans, now that they're playing in neutral sites too, plus people are more worried about the whole pandemic than anything else.
Smoke screen.
Exactly.
I
Hey,
don't
look,
know.
again, this is something that I'll admit it's something I'm
Listen,
bringing
if
up.
they win the World Series, there needs to be a serious investigation into these people.
Well,
Believe me, because there has been no greater comeback and rise from the ashes than the Astros being under 500, coming back, sweeping in the wild card. Did they sweep the wild card? Yeah, they did. Obviously, it's the
yeah, they
Twins.
did.
Coming back, losing one game, so they're 5-1 right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's see. I I think we should go into our. This kind of leads into our predictions because we all know what happened with the Yankees and Tampa Bay Rays. So
Yeah. Well, I mean,
don't really
again,
need to go there.
for me, again, coming from a baseball background, I don't remember ever there being a time where an entire team, not just one or two guys, if it was one or two guys, I could understand. That's plausible. But an entire team all of a sudden just hitting the cover of the ball in after what it was a week at most after the season. It just something just doesn't seem right to me. But on to a little recap of Yankees Tampa Bay Rays series. Oh boy. Well,
it was if you're a baseball fan, last night's game was a game to watch if you're a baseball fan.
yes, and the whole
And,
series is what it was billed to be.
yeah, and I want to go into my take of the series a little bit more.
Okay.
And then later on, I think we could talk a little bit, do a little autopsy of the season.
Okay.
But this series in particular was so overmanaged that they lost the series. That is the reason why they lost the series. Not because they were not because they weren't swinging the bat. Last night they were shut down a little bit, but they had a lead. Small lead, but they weren't playing small ball. So maybe you could blame it on that. But I go back to game 2.
Mm-hmm.
Game 2 to me is where everything went wrong. That is when the wheels fell off. Actually, that's when the lug nuts started to come off.
Mm-hmm.
Game 3 is when the wheels fell off because Tanaka wasn't his usual self. But that was for whatever reason. And one of our friends, Marshall, explained to me that there was a whole logic behind this and a gamble of the game 2 situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I am not getting it. You put Devi Garcia in for 1 inning, strikes out the side, looks pretty good. Stuff looks pretty good. And then behind the curtain is J Happ, who's going to bring you to the promised land and win you this game. Shut down the Tampa Bay Rays. I don't get it.
Well, I want to make one correction.
Sure.
He didn't strike out the side in the first. Yeah, no,
He walked
didn't,
one.
No, he gave up a solo home run.
In the first?
Yes. In the bottom of the first, he gave up a solo home run to Randy Arozarena.
Okay.
But that's not.
Oh yeah,
I'm
you're
not.
right. I'm sorry.
I'm not sitting here saying that home run should have had any bearing on the move because I agree. We talked about it before.
Especially sorry, Ralph. Especially the Yankees come back in the second inning, the top of the second inning, and score another run.
Yeah, no,
and tie the game.
And this
to me, go ahead.
Yeah, no, and I agree because we talked about this in our last episode where when it was announced that Devi Garcia was going to start game 2, and like I said then, I do believe starting Devi was the right move. But I cannot fathom, and I would love to hear Marshall's take on it to see if I can get some semblance of possible logic in it. I don't know why he took out Garcia after 1 inning. That move made zero sense to me no matter what.
what he explained to me was that Boone wanted to see what Cash's lineup was going to be for that, to make sure to see what he was going to put out there in terms of a lineup and play a little deception game. But Cash didn't flinch. He didn't change anything once he saw um, Hap come out. Or Hap go in. So I don't know. I'm just not getting it.
Why we're I mean, I don't know if he has sources as to why that's what
No.
he believes it was,
Just
or
pure
if that's
speculation.
what Boone said. But if that is what Boone was thinking, it boggles me, because you don't throw a guy out there for an inning to see what their lineup's going to look like, especially in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Look, it's not like he had a bad first inning. Like, he gave up one solo shot. Whoop-de-doo.
Yeah.
Your team has come back from a 4-run deficit in this playoffs. So it's like, you can't be sitting here concerned that he gave up one solo home run.
Yeah.
He should have rode Garcia as long as he could have rode him. Then if you want to bring in Hap, bring in Hap.
But you also have Sessa.
Yeah, well then, yeah, you have Luis Sessa, and you had other guys in the pen, but it's like this whole idea of putting Garcia in there for one inning and then going to Hap. I was like, it's just a head scratcher. It made zero sense in game two.
I also questioned last night's game and putting Aroldis Chapman in as early as he did.
I actually do not question that because it's not like Chapman wasn't losing anything down the stretch. He was still strong in that ninth inning. When I first saw Chapman come in the bottom of the seventh to get that first out,
he looked okay.
I thought the same thing to myself. I'm like, you're asking Chapman to go 2 1/3 right now.
Yeah.
If we don't, well, no, 2 1/3, even if we scored.
Right.
Which, to me, did give some concern, but then watching as he went along, it's not like he lost anything. It's not like he was wild or anything like that. So putting him in, I actually don't disagree with, just watching how he went, especially in that situation. He's your closer. He's your guy. The home run he gave up was purely poor pitch selection on that last pitch.
Well, history doesn't repeat itself. It rhymes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But my logic of it, right? He knew, well, he didn't know, but he could have had a feeling that game 1 of the LCS would have probably been Devi Garcia, right?
Mm-hmm.
You would think that you need all hands on deck for that game, especially Chapman. So to think that he was going to go 2 1/3 was asking a lot. And then to throw him back out again Sunday if you needed him. And I understand it's kind of balls to the wall. You got to throw everything at the wall.
Well, again, this is game 5 of the divisional series, win or go home.
Mm-hmm.
You can't sit here thinking about game 1 of the CS. You gotta put your best guys out there. You gotta put in who's going to give you the best shot to win. So not going with Chapman would have been an even graver managerial error than having.
I don't think
Garcia.
So. I think you had Green ready to go. Yeah, he pitched 2 days in a row, but I think he was ready to go. And I think he was your better chance of getting out of that.
I mean,
unscathed.
I mean, you're asking a guy to come out of the pen 3 days in a row, and it's not like he had a great showing the day before either.
Yeah, he did. He did.
Okay, the day before, yeah. Okay, yes. Yeah.
I think the first day he came out.
The first day
it was a little rocky.
Yeah, it was the first day. It was game 3.
That was the Tanaka game.
Yeah, it was game 3. He came out rocky.
Yeah. The next day, perfect.
One.
You couldn't have asked for more. So
So he pitched 3 innings. I'd have to see how many pitches in each game. So yeah, you could have went Green in the 7th and 8th or part of the 8th rather than going straight to Chapman. But I don't see putting Green in there as your closer for the game.
I do blame 2 things on this. I blame the 3-batter rule. I think this has something to do with it.
Yeah.
And the MLB not telling Major League Baseball teams that the playoff games were going to be consecutive games, no days off. You think if the teams knew this, especially Brian Cashman and all his infinite wisdom, and I am not a Brian Cashman fan right now, would have gone out and got more arms for that bullpen, knowing that it's a consecutive series. There are no days off. There's no rest. That's just my theory.
The league didn't tell teams that before the playoffs started?
They didn't tell them that at the trade deadline. Teams knew it once the playoff schedule were announced, but that was way after the trade deadline.
The question here is, did they fully, one, when did they make the decision to make it consecutive games? And 2, how quickly did they, because neutral sites were chosen within the last month of the season.
Yes, but it wasn't given, the teams were not given notice of consecutive games until after the trade deadline. So my point is that they would have made some sort of adjustment or made some moves by the trade deadline to fill up their bullpens.
I see. Yeah, that is a major fumble on the league's part. That's something you need to let your teams know.
Yeah.
In which case, yeah, I would think Cashman would go out, get a few more bullpen arms to make sure you can shore up your bullpen for that consecutive series.
Any team.
Oh, well, yeah, any team.
Unless
they absolutely didn't need to. But then, this is also where the 3-batter rule, as I've said, I think comes into play, like you said. Now, the rule is if you get the final out of the inning, a team can then replace that pitcher in the next inning. So if you get the 3rd out in the 7th, let's say Chad Green comes and gets a 3rd out in the 7th, they could put Chapman in to pitch the 8th and the 9th. But that's played a part. But last night's the home run that Chapman gave up was more of a pitch selection error than anything else. Because Browser, did I say his name right? I don't want to just completely butcher his name. He was hunting the fastball. Yeah. Browser. He was hunting fastball that entire at bat. That's the only pitch he was looking for. You can see it in his swing. He fouled off the 3-2 slider 2 pitches before the home run. He was so far out in front of it, he pulled the thing like 30 yards left. Yes, he got good wood on it, but he literally swung to foul it off. He was hunting fastball. He was timing that fastball the entire at bat.
Yep.
If you're going to go fastball in the fastball that Chapman threw that gave up the home run, you either have to throw it high and in, or just high in general, or away. You can't throw it down and in expecting to blow it by a guy that's hunting your fastball. Or you throw a slider, and if you walk him, you walk him. So what?
That was my thing. Right before that pitch came out, I literally said, "All right, blow a slider right by him." That's exactly what I said.
That should have been the pitch.
Because you knew he was hunting your fastball.
Yeah.
So why go to it?
Because that's Chapman. Everyone knows that's Chapman's strength. And so it's the mindset of, well, if you're going to beat me, you're going to beat me when I give you my strength. And I understand that thinking, but at times you have to put that thinking aside and just go with because look, here's the pitch sequence: fastball, fastball, splitter, fastball, slider, fastball, fastball, slider, fastball, fastball. Everyone could have guessed what was coming next.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody. And that's the thing, you can't, unless, again, if you want to throw fastball, you got to throw it up in the zone. You cannot put it down and in.
Yep.
And that's really what did that game in last night. That it was that one pitch that it's just not a smart pitch to throw in that situation.
It's a real shame because you have Garrett Cole, who came out on 3 days rest and just dominated.
Minus one
home run. One mistake. He was no hit through 5.
Oh, he was everything we signed him for.
Yes.
Like this postseason, he was everything we signed him for.
And if you are a Yankee fan, that is the one glimmer of hope that you can wake up to this morning and say, thank God for Garrett Cole, because I mean, I'm tongue in cheek, but seriously, that is exactly what the Yankees signed him for. That's exactly the reason why he is so good.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's go to the championship series.
Championship series.
Real quick, because I could care less.
Well, we'll start in the NL again. Dodgers versus the Braves. This could be a battle. No matter what, I see Dodgers coming out on top. They are the better team. They can hang with the Braves, even if the Braves continue on this run scoring streak.
Only if Kershaw is Kershaw that we saw last week.
See, I think this might be one series where, despite Kershaw maybe going back a little bit to his old ways, the Dodgers will still pull it off. Because I think their other pitchers are enough to hold down the Braves to where it's not fully contingent on Kershaw to be the Kershaw that we saw last week.
I think it goes 5, and I think the Dodgers come out.
I think the Dodgers come out 5 or 6.
Yeah. I was thinking 6, but
it wouldn't surprise
5.
me if the Braves pull off 2 wins out of this series.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. All right.
And then we got Tampa Bay versus Houston. Good old Houston. I want to see Tampa Bay in 4.
I think it's going to be Tampa Bay in 7.
Again, I say I want Tampa Bay in 4. I don't think it's actually going to be Tampa Bay in 4. I think it's going to be Tampa Bay. I just hope it's in 4 just so the Astros can finally be put in their place. It's going to be interesting to watch this series and see how the Astros bats do again, especially against the Rays bullpen, especially against Castro, is it, or Castillo?
Castillo.
And this is one of those series where, depending on how the Houston hits, it could be very telling as to if they have more shenanigans going on or not.
I just think that the Astros rotation, it can't hang.
Oh no. When you look at the rotation without Verlander in there, the Astros rotation versus the Rays rotation is night and day. The Rays have the upper hand in the rotation.
No Morton, no Verlander.
Well, Morton's on the Rays.
I know. So, that's what I'm saying. And no Garrett Cole.
Yeah. So I mean, you're relying on Greinke, who hasn't been lights out this postseason.
He's not that great. I don't know what the hype is about him. Honestly, I just don't.
If I remember, he had those couple years where he was pretty decent, and people just really drew to that. But even when you get to the bullpen, if there's a bullpen game somewhere in there, the Rays have the upper hand too.
Mm-hmm.
The only place where these two teams are similar right now, and that's just because the Houston Astros have somehow learned how to hit again, is the lineups are decently similar.
Yeah, but the thing with the Rays is they just have such a big platoon
Oh yeah,
that I
no,
think,
the Rays have the depth.
yeah, it's they are a really good team. They are the best team. They are the best team in the American League. They may be arguably the best team in baseball.
Oh yes, no doubt, and they deserve to be where they are. So
100%.
Like I said, I'd love to see Tampa Bay just shut up the Astros and take it in 4. But if I'm being realistic, 6 or 7 is probably going to be what is probably more likely based on just what's happened so far this postseason.
Yep. All right.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. So you want to break into a little autopsy of the Yankee? We'll do real quick, and I think we need a full episode for this. But I'm itching to get my thoughts out there. I also want to go back to last night and Kyle Higashioka, and this will kind of play into my autopsy here. Was due up the 9th, I think, and Boone takes him out and puts in Mike Ford because he wanted the lefty righty.
Yeah.
Fair. Stop with the analytics. Play baseball. Play baseball. Play the game.
Well, lefty righty is not necessarily an analytics thing. That's been around the game for a long time.
I understand that, but you're taking a guy who has been pretty decent in the postseason and sitting him, and not to mention, no, this was the 8th. Not to mention now you lose your DH and you have to put in Gary Sanchez.
Yes.
So you're riding a lot on that just to get that lefty righty.
Yes, that's
just
true.
saying.
And if you're Mike Ford, you can't go down looking.
No, but he gave a decent at bat. I'll give him that. All right. So Yankees were destined to win. I think they were etched in as the favorites when the season started pre-COVID, right? He had the signing of Garrett Cole, but then you had things like Tommy Kahnle, Tommy John surgery, Luis Severino, Tommy John surgery, Herman. We know what he did.
Yep.
There were just a lot of factors that, Aaron Judge was down, Giancarlo Stanton was down. But then they got a break in the sense that, they gave Judge a little more time to heal, Stanton a little more time to heal, even though he still didn't come back till September, August.
Well, and Stanton performed very well in this postseason.
He did. But we're not paying somebody to play.
No, I know. We need that for the entire season, especially with his contract.
Yeah, which he's not opting out, so he's staying. What I'd like to see is an entire clean out of the front office. I think Brian Cashman has served his time. I think it's time to take a different route. We're short every year. I think Boone is another one I'd like to see gone. I think it's radical, but I think it's something that really needs to happen. I don't think he could take us to the promised land. He has the keys to the Ferrari, and he doesn't know how to drive stick. It's the best way I could put it.
See, I don't know if a full house cleaning is the way to go just yet, especially based on the fact that you had last year where Stanton and Judge were out almost the entire season, and the team still performed as well as they did last year. Yeah, I know we got knocked out one game away from the World Series by the Astros. but we all know in part as to what that reasoning was due to the cheating scandal. Again, this year, more injuries, which just really derailed things mid-season. We're still able to get into the postseason, and yes, you have Boone who overmanaged, but I don't know if cleaning house is necessarily the answer yet. I'd say maybe give it another year at least, see what happens. For me, it's just the fact that even a year after we go out and get a starting pitcher in Garrett Cole, we still need to go out and get pitching depth again.
Do you think Paxton's coming back?
I mean, I hope so. I also don't necessarily know who.
Do you want him to come back? That's my question, because I don't think he was dominant in one game in the postseason. Again, I don't want performers in the postseason. I want season-long performers.
The reason I would say yes, I want him back, is I don't know right now what our rotation would look like without him. I know we have Montgomery. Montgomery will be back, and he had a great game which is very promising.
Yeah. You have Garrett Cole, Tanaka. I think
Tanaka's been so up and down the last couple seasons. That's the only. I mean, I'm not saying I want him to leave. It's just he needs to find his consistency again.
I'm concerned about two things. There's always that thing in the back of your mind about his elbow, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think there's plenty of things out there in the public domain that he's not, it's not as strong as it should be. There's concerns there.
Mm-hmm.
And number two, if he takes what the Yankees are paying him now, I think that's a fair deal for everybody for another couple of years. If he's gonna want more money, I don't think the Yankees do it. Also, I don't know if he's gonna play baseball anymore. He may be just done. I don't know.
If he chooses to retire, he chooses to retire. That's on him. That's on him.
So I really see it going two ways. I think he either retires or takes the same contract that he's had in terms of salary per year.
And I mean, look, Devi Garcia definitely looked promising, very promising. I guess it's still up in the air whether or not the Yankees want to bring Herman back or not. Most likely they won't, just because they don't want to. They won't want to deal with everything that surrounds him right now.
I don't know. I disagree. I think at this point, I think with George Steinbrenner gone, I think it's a little bit of a different dynamic. I don't think George Steinbrenner would have stood for those things. I think he would have cut him and would have been done, right? I honestly see the Yankees taking him back,
which I'm not opposed to be honest.
Giving him a chance.
Yeah,
no,
I'm not opposed to be honest. Look, what he did was wrong. We all agree to that, but I do believe. Look, okay, show us you deserve a second chance.
Right.
I fully believe in second chances. So I would not be against them bringing him back. And if they do bring him back, then okay, yeah, we can look into. We're fine. Then I'm saying, okay, fine. Paxton, if he goes, fine.
Because you have Severino coming back too.
Well, no, that's my point though. If Herman is gonna stay, we have Severino coming back. Then let's just say we also have Devi Garcia. We have Garrett Cole.
Signed Trevor Bauer.
No, him and Cole do not get along. They
care.
No, you don't. No. You don't want that type. We do not.
How do you know they don't get along?
Oh, they haven't gotten along for years. I think it even stems back because they were teammates at one point somewhere. Because I heard this briefly on a radio show I was listening to. They do not like each other. and we don't need any type of teammate drama anywhere. Now, look, if they can put their differences aside and they can get along, then yes, I'd say add Bauer to that rotation. And
I mean,
hopefully he can not do a Sonny Gray and completely fall off the earth. Hopefully he can stand up, but with his attitude and really what seems like how full of himself he is at times.
Well,
he could be a pitcher in New York and be fine.
So two things. You had the core four for all these years who really didn't let anybody in the inner circle, didn't really like anybody outside of their inner circle. So, there's that with that dynamic. Also, the thing that's really, really attractive to me is it's only a 1-year deal. He's made it very clear that he only is going to sign 1-year deals from here on out in his career. So, what? If it doesn't work, it's $12 million, whatever.
Okay, well here's the thing around Bauer. Yes, sign him to a 1-year deal. If things work out during the first half of the season, okay, meaning team-wise.
Mm-hmm.
If not, trade him at the trade deadline.
Yeah.
You should
eat that.
We should still have a good enough record by that point to where we can get rid of him. Plus, we have the arms already. Look, the more I think about what the rotation can look like, yes, losing Paxton won't be an issue if all the other guys stay healthy, obviously. But I mean, you think of the rotation: Cole, Montgomery, Severino, Garcia, Herman.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a bad rotation by any imagination. And that's without Paxton. That's without Tanaka.
Or Happ.
Happ hasn't been what he was billed to be, except for
he's
the
old.
end of last season. Yes, I know he's old, but CC was old, and he reinvented his game.
True.
So the more I think about it, we can lose Tanaka, we can lose Paxton, and our potential rotation next year will be fine. If we you sign Bauer to that 1-year deal just to give yourself a little assurance, and then you could take Garcia or Herman and maybe put them in a bullpen role, or go with the 6-man rotation if you really want to go with the 6-man rotation.
Can you imagine Garrett Cole on 6 days rest?
Well, I think here's the only thing. Garrett Cole, you might stick to every 5 days to keep him in his routine, keep him in his rhythm.
Yeah, you just change up.
You don't want to mess with that.
Yeah.
You would just change the starter behind him every.
Yeah.
And maybe that screws with them, but with the younger guys, you should be okay getting away with that. Bauer would be the only one I would say maybe he'd want to go on his normal rest as well. But again, we can have an entire episode and get really in depth to all the different scenarios and ways the Yankees can go.
Yeah.
All this.
And my final thought was Gary's gone. He's wrapped up in some sort of deal with
Higashioka. Yeah, Higashioka's proven himself. The only thing is we have to find a backup catcher again, but that's easy to come by.
Do you find a backup catcher, or do you make Kyle Higashioka a backup catcher again?
Oh God! I go out and get JT Realmuto from the Phillies.
JT Realmuto.
Look, if we can get JT Realmuto this offseason, that'd be amazing. Yes,
I just think
put Andujar and Sanchez in a deal.
Well, it wouldn't be a trade deal. He's a free agent, so
that's true.
It would just be pure contract. So my only concern is they're going to overpay for him.
Who, JT?
Mm-hmm.
We'll see.
He's going to want record money for a catcher.
Most likely. The question is, can we afford that at this juncture with what we're giving Stanton? I think Judge has 1 more year of arbitration, but he hasn't earned anything yet with the fact he can't even get through a 60-game season without being injured.
But they have to weigh this carefully because one man that I want to see in Yankee pinstripes till he retires is DJ LeMahieu.
Agreed.
If that's the one thing they have to they have to sacrifice.
Yes, we have to lock up LeMahieu. He's just way too good. He's way too consistent to let go.
He's what, 32, 31? I don't care. He may be in his prime right now or coming down from his prime, but I mean, the guy's won a batting title in 2 leagues, so.
Oh no, there's no doubt. We need to keep LeMahieu. We need to keep him the rest of his career.
And if that rules out JT Realmuto being on the Yankees, I'm fine with that.
We have Higashioka again.
Who's great.
Himself. He's proven himself.
Yeah. His defense is just bar none to Gary Sanchez.
Oh yeah, well that's not hard to surpass.
I know.
So yeah, no, if we can't get JT, there's nothing wrong if we can't get JT. We have Higashioka. Again, all this we can get into much more in depth in another episode.
Yep.
We don't need to go the full length right now, and we will cover all this in
but it's
future episode more in depth.
It's cathartic, as they say.
There's a lot to unravel and unpiece here and piece together with all the things that could happen.
Yep.
So,
but we are back. We're here. We promised we were going to do this, so we will continue out. And NBA finals are wrapping up, but they don't seem to be wrapping up as quickly as everyone thought they were going to be. So LeBron is not king just yet.
They have 2 more games to bring it home.
Yep. And the draft just happened for the NHL.
NHL draft just happened. Zach and
Devils are making a lot of moves.
Yeah, there's been a lot of NHL moves going on recently. There's been a lot happening over the last few days in just a brief off season for the NHL, which Zach and I will be breaking down next Monday in our next episode. So look for that to release Tuesday or Wednesday.
And producer Frank tried to make me feel better last night and said, better luck next year. Don't forget that the Masters are coming up. So
that is true.
If there's
have been pushed back.
If there's any void that needs to be filled, I think it can be filled with the Masters. So let's go Tiger. I think we should do a show for the Masters. I think that'd be fun.
I'd be down to do that.
Yeah. We all play golf, so I think it'd be good. So let's do a Masters show. Decided. All right.
Awesome. Well, Yankee fans, we feel your misery. We're feeling with you. But as Dick said, we promise we'll bring full baseball playoff coverage, which we are going to do. Look out for all our other episodes coming out soon. Again, like, subscribe, comment on our Facebook page. Anything to help. Nick, have a good Saturday.
You
have
too,
a good
Ralph.
Weekend.
Hang in there. It'll be all right.
Next season will come eventually. But
Hopefully this coronavirus bullshit is behind
next season's
us.
Gonna come eventually. We don't need to get into that whole thing. But
yes. Pitchers and catchers report in I don't know the day count, but it's right around my birthday. So
perfect. Well, till next time, Nick. Have a good one, boys.